Despite huge early ratings, ABC's Flash Forward found itself on the bubble midway through its first season and ended up really limping to the line. This is On the Bubble podcast, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. My name is Josh Liston, and today we're looking at the truly unique and I guess a little weird fan campaign for ABC sci-fi drama Flash Forward. Okay, let's do this thing.
I'm Jeannie.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Nikki from Tyrion's Landing,
a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in
3,
2,
1.
Quote, a couple of weeks ago, ABC officially cancelled their freshman TV show, Flash Forward. Though it got off to a good start in the fall, the show's ratings declined fairly steadily throughout the season. End quote. That quote was from Trevor Kimball, writing for TV series Finale.com on June 8, 2010. And as Trevor mentioned, Flash Forward saw a steady ratings decline from a really impressive opening, from memory around 12.7 million viewers off the top of my head for the first episode, and then slowly saw those ratings fade away by the end of the first season. So it's not unfair to say that Flash Forward struggled to regain, and I guess keep engaged the ABC viewers at the time. Around the middle of the first season of Flash Forward, the ratings decline looked more terminal, or was becoming so, and the show therefore found itself on the bubble, and there wasn't a whole lot of hope for the show regaining much of that early audience. So what happened was, the fans of Flash Forward very quickly gathered together and started campaigning online, working towards a big event, a really interesting and, as I mentioned, slightly weird event that Variety.com described in the following way, quote, I gotta hand it to Flash Forward fans. This could be the most unique Save Our Show fan campaign yet, end quote. So that's pretty exciting to hear. They must have done something cool, and we'll get to that. They did do something cool, and again, a little weird. But I think before we get to finding out exactly what the Flash Forward campaigners did, first I think we need to hear from fan campaigner and PreventTheBlackout.com moderator, Christopher Schermerhorn. He actually had his own theories, and some pretty astute theories, in fact, about why Flash Forward, for a show that started so well and had really strong numbers, ended up fading away to a show that really struggled to be considered for a renewal. Christopher was speaking here with the OaklandPress.com, and yeah, some really spot-on observations from someone that, from what I can gather, is not actually involved in the media industry on the business side. Quote, the show first aired last fall, unquote. Quote, the ABC took it off for 5 months. Viewers didn't come back, unquote. Quote, the show ended May 27 with a cliffhanger finale, end quote. So the mid-season break that Christopher was talking about there certainly would have compounded any struggles the show was having from an audience engagement point of view, a story arc point of view. Any slight chinks in the armour certainly wouldn't have benefited from having such a long mid-season break. There was one factual thing I wanted to throw out there, and this is from Why Were They Cancelled by John J. Joex. In that particular book, the Flash Forward hiatus was only 3.5 months, as opposed to 5 months, like Christopher stated in his quote there. Maybe it was just a really, really long time, which regardless, 3.5 or 5, is in fact the case. It may have felt like 5 months for fans of the show like Christopher. So before we dig into the event that I spoke about that Christopher was involved in, I wanted to just talk quickly about what the media landscape is like now in 2018 for both television companies, but more importantly for the average TV fan, compared to the middle of 2010. Platforms like Instagram video, Facebook video, and the Facebook advertising platform across both Facebook and also migrating into Instagram are places now where genre television seem to have a stronghold, at least in my feeds on Facebook and Instagram. I'm always seeing material from those shows while they're on break to remind you that they exist, to remind you of the great moments. If there happens to be a cliffhanger, what's going to happen next? And do you remember when this happened? How amazing was that all? How surprising was it? That was not as common in 2010. So any show that was forced onto a mid-season break without a strong promotional engine fueling that fire, those types of shows that don't have the support I just spoke about really, really struggled and have always struggled when the mid-season break is longer than average. So in the future, we'll talk about shows that fell off during a mid-season break that started strongly. Flash Forward being probably the first case of that being a clear example that we're dealing with today. So we'll move on. You've probably had enough of listening to me talk about technology and platforms. So we come to the big question. What exactly did the fans of Flash Forward do to try and save their show? In short, fans coordinated staged blackouts in front of ABC network offices, the offices of their affiliate stations, and anywhere else they thought they might garner some coverage or some notoriety that would then get back to the heads of ABC that are making decisions like renewing and cancelling shows. The staged blackout element of the campaign was created to fall in line with the central premise of the show, where fans fell to the ground as though they had blacked out and stayed there for exactly 137 seconds, as per the central premise of the show. Along with 20,000 or so friendship bracelets that were shipped to ABC entertainment head Steve McPherson, the stage blackouts garnered a pretty good amount of press, really, and it might have been the weirdness of it or the fact that it was something that was quite a bit more public because they were happening in public spaces. There was one particular blackout where the security from the ABC property actually asked all of the campaigners to move across the street and they weren't prepared to have them pretend to black out on their property. So it did gain some publicity, but as is often the case, it turned out to be too little too late for Flash Forward, and as at September 2018, ABC have continued to stand by the cancellation. It is a little sad to come to the end of another On the Bubble podcast episode, only to find out that the fan campaign didn't work and all of the planning and executing and support from fans appears not to really have done much in the end. So to keep things positive, I thought I'd share some of the voices of Flash Forward fans before and after their own blackout efforts, where, if nothing else, you can hear how much they truly love the show. And I think that that's awesome. And they got to do that together in a shared communal event in real life. And it doesn't get much better than that. Okay, thanks so much for listening to another episode of On the Bubble podcast. You can find the show at geeks.link/onthebubble or onthebubblepodcast.com if that's easier. I would encourage you to go over to check out some of the other awesome shows on gunnergeek.com. There's some great TV podcasts there, so if you like this show, I'm sure you'll find something else there that you'll love. And lastly, if you are a big fan of the show The Expanse, you won't want to miss the next episode of On the Bubble. Okay, take care, folks, and I'll talk to you soon. Catch you later.
So what did you guys see in your future?
Season 2, I saw season. So
This is true.
we're gonna make it happen. We have to make it happen now.
But I'm excited that these people are here and that, you know, we got a couple diehards here and that there's at least this much enthusiasm, people willing to brave the traffic, people willing to take time off work, people willing to drive up from San Diego. I feel like I'm in good company here.
What did you see in your Flash Forward?
Kangaroos.
Oh, you and the kangaroo, of course.
Watching season 2.
What'd you guys think? Did it turn out the way you hoped?
Yeah, very.
Very? cool.
I think today we made friendships that last a lifetime.
A lifetime?
A lifetime, yes.
So did you guys have fun? Fun? You guys hopeful? Hopefully we'll get this show back on, right? This is a good show. Why is V still on and this isn't? I keep telling people this.
Heroes got canceled too.
Somewhat conclusive.